So this week we have been busy mobilizing the community to clean up the land, so that by tomorrow we have the surveyors to come, and then perhaps by next week we have the diggers to pour over here so that they start their machinery work. Yeah, as of yesterday we asked them to remove their crops from this plot because it's ours now. We have taken it over from them. So they did that yesterday and they finished this morning. And now what we have asked now is to have a clean land where these shrubs are cut down. So these are two things that they are working on. First, harvesting the crops, and secondly, to remove the shrubs so that the surveyor has the clean sheet. In Africa, when you have a baby, when women have the baby, it looks like 80% of the nursing, the caring for the baby goes to the woman. So they always move together with their kids on the back. So they cannot leave him or her at home, nobody to look after him or her. Then they have to move, they have to work together while the baby is on her back. So with this sun, it's really tough, especially for the child, to be exposed to the sun direct. So that's why they work, then a little bit they maybe sit under the shade. Now we're looking for slashers. So most of them are just slashing. A slasher is something, a material with like a panga, but with a bent like something. So when they cut underneath these branches, then it is done as quickly as possible. So at the moment, I'm going to look for extra 2 more instruments to help us further this work. Okay, timafuna tingopempha nawo ndi kapisweke mwina ka 1 hour pena pake tamva zoti mulinzo chicha timafuna mutibwerekeko era kuti tizakumanenda hedi zakafolo
being one of the newest contributors to the process. I know others have been involved for a few years, but to try and bring what I understand of locally, what will work locally, what materials are available locally, and basically how it will fit together given a time frame of probably 6 months building or so. Yeah. How do we get the ground levelled? So we've recently just had a survey done to pick up on that, so we now know exactly what what you're going to look down on or look out on. That has given the contractor who will probably do the grading works a greater feeling of comfort on exactly what soil, what dirt is going to be moved around. Locally, you cannot buy an off-the-shelf building. That's impossible. So it's starting with the raw materials and how you put that together. And then there's options of where we get the materials, who we get them from, and then where does that fit into a kind of local economy. So it's trying to drive either resources that we can get free of charge or as a social responsibility component.
Because the way I've seen it, it's almost like there's 2 separate buildings.
Yeah.
With the void in the middle.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, this is on the ground floor. That's straight through.
And I'm saying rather just create a bigger separation between the two, and then just lay a wooden floor.
Fingers crossed, we have about 400 tons of quarry dust available free of charge. We're looking at deliveries. We're looking at involving the community who we bought the land from to pay them as an ongoing contribution and a connection to the project, to see how they can stay involved with the whole process of developing something which is ultimately in their community.
Okay, morning guys. It's Sunday, the Sunday before the Wednesday that the bulldozer is going to come out on site, fingers crossed. Behind me we've got Tim, who is working with a group of villagers going round the site to put pegs in the ground which will determine where the various aspects of the plot design are going to go. So full-size rugby pitch, the netball courts, even the car park, the clubhouse, the area where the clubhouse is going to go, the learning spaces, and then the accommodation village, and obviously all the space in between. So marking out the key points that will determine where those facets of the project are going.
What we've got is a rough outline of the plot.
Yep.
From the drawing, we know from the edge, from the boundaries, where the pitch line, the edges of the pitch cross the boundaries. So we're going to measure along the boundary to find the edges, or where those lines cross the boundary, where they cross the edge of the plot. We then take a very long piece of string from one side to the other, and then separate to the pitch is a grid that we have had the surveyors prepare, which has all the levels. So we then need to transfer that grid onto the ground, and then we will note the altitude, the level of that peg, and we know it's maybe 1,114 metres above sea level. It needs to go down 50 centimetres. So you write minus 50. Okay. Then when the dozer comes on Wednesday, it starts to kind of grind the levels down. Fingers crossed we end up with a flat place for a rugby pitch.
I think the machine that we're going to be putting out there, the D7 dozer, will adequately level the ground and do what you need it to do in a fairly short space of time. Yeah, I think you've got your work cut out for you in terms of getting the whole program that you have on paper together. But I think it's a very exciting project, especially for Malawi. We're quite glad to be a part of it, and looking forward to assist wherever we can. Right, so here's the D7, just getting ready to be loaded to go out to the field. D7 dozer that should be able to clear the ground in a couple of days. It's about a 160 kilowatt machine.
Okay, so morning everybody, it's 9:23, the time I was actually asked to meet the flatbed lorry driver, the lorry which is currently on its way from its facility with the D7 bulldozer on it, and I'm meeting the driver and the dozer operator here at the roadblock junction before we head out to our plot. Okay, so the dozer has arrived. It's just navigated the rural roads, last 7 kilometers from the tar roadblock into the Mzumanzi area. It's 2 pretty much straight roads. Earlier this year these dirt roads were graded, but there's a couple of sections where the drivers had to be quite careful. But he's done very well. We're now at the site. We weren't actually expecting to get the dozer on the lorry all the way to the site, so we've done well. And now it's a case of getting the dozer off the lorry onto the site, and then we can start the earthworks. The dozer is up and running. Tell me, how is the job going?
The job is going fine.
What have you been doing the last 6 days?
6 days I've been backfilling, covering the lower land, taking the soil to the upper land down there, backfilling.
And how does that work?
It was very good.
For those that don't understand your job. Tell us how this works.
It's very tough because this land is very hard. So pushing now we are facing the winds. I can't see well the levels of the ground. But when it will be okay, I will try to do well.
How do you make it so level?
Just experience. Half of my years I've been with this machine, working this job.
Tell me, how many years have you been working with this machine?
This machine I've almost about 25 years. Yeah.
It is the end of what has been a 12-week visit for me. I'm standing in front of what is going to be 2 netball courts, or 1 netball court and a volleyball court. Behind me, the layout for the clubhouse, and then the rugby field. Over the last few weeks we have achieved some great things. We've found an absolutely brilliant consultant project manager in Tim Mahoney, who has done some amazing computer-aided designs that are intricately helping us understand how the whole build is going to come together, and he's going to take a lead on helping us realize this amazing project. And between him and myself, we've been meeting up with the likes of Serge Pinto, who is one of the directors here and is incredibly well connected and has a lot of expertise in this type of thing, with people like Paul Jackson, HEJ Engineering, who are going to be, well, they provided the dozer for us and potentially will be the contractors for the steel work for the structure of the clubhouse. Yeah, we're just making great progress. We have identified a building contractor, Felix, who him and his team are going to take on firstly the digging of the trench for the perimeter wall, building the blocks, which will utilize manpower on site from the local community so that people here can have some work while we are obviously working on site, so people will be able to be involved in the making of the blocks.
No, it's going so very good. Even the workers is working with the hard working. There's no problem for anything else. Now, mainly what we are looking for is just only to have all facilities. If you have got all materials, I think by some coming days we are going to complete everything.
So we'll be getting some quarry dust on site. That, together with cement and water from the borehole, will mean that we can make the blocks ourselves. We'll need around 30,000 concrete blocks for the perimeter wall. And then, yeah, as they start getting produced, we can actually start on the wall, and hopefully, all being well, Felix will earn the right to take on the rest of the build, which would include the manager's house, the clubhouse, and the accommodation. We've been very kindly donated 2 20-foot containers which have come up from South Africa via Mozambique, but there've been all manner of challenges getting them up from Nakala through to Lilongwe, and on several occasions they've apparently been loaded onto the rail, but then the train hasn't departed, or the next day you find out, they weren't actually loaded onto the rail. So it's been a challenge, but my understanding is that both containers should be here in the next few days. Again, we've been donated a borehole, which in these parts, for the drilling and the installation of the pump, can cost around $5,000. So if we can get that donated, it would be an enormous saving. But we've been back and forth with key stakeholders who want to make it happen, but it just hasn't seemed to materialise. So hopefully that will come together soon. As I stand here on this site, I am able to reflect on just how much potential there is here, not just for us to provide a sporting opportunity through rugby and other sports here for the local community, but also what those sports will also mean in terms of providing other transferable skills and education to young people in the community whose lives will be transformed by this very facility. So whilst it can be hard work, it is continually very inspiring, and I'm looking forward to seeing things progress over the coming months.